Listening, fill in the blanks.
Let's start.
The Kendlers found that the children could learn the separate bits readily enough. Given the task of getting a marble by pressing the button, they could get the marble. Given the task of getting a toy when a marble was handed to them, they could use the marble. All they had to do was put it in a hole. But they did not for the most part integrate, to use the Kendlers' terminology. They did not press the button to get the marble and then proceed without further help to use the marble to get the toy. So the Kendlers concluded that they were incapable of deductive reasoning.
I don't want to be sentimental about trees. On one of my last nights in the Rhine forest when speaking to the company's chief woodsman Pedro, I felt reassured about the situation. Pedro said, "At least there are the medias arbolitos." "What, little trees?" I asked. The next day Pedro showed me the trees he was referring to. We walked up the hill and Pedro stopped in front of a very healthy-looking young Chihuahuaco growing in the sun. "When do you expect to harvest them?" I had to ask. I hope he wasn't planning to profile them in a few years.
My trip began in the company of a great group of people who were logging from the sawmill town in Tuculpa. A 2-day trip into the forest guided us beyond the roads and to a community called Esperanza, or Hope. In the middle of a flourishing chacra, a farm typical of the area, there was a temporary logging camp. As well as their productive farming, the chacra had a family business called the Medinas, which offered a refuge for birds, wild piglets, and primates saved from logged areas. From there, I walked through Monte Alto with my logging friends for 10 days, which they were soon to cut.
A crucial issue is the consumer's choice. In deciding whether to pursue the development of new technology, the consumer's right to choose should be considered alongside considerations of risk and benefit. Clearly, skiing is more dangerous than genetically modified tomatoes, but people who ski choose to do so. They do not have skiing thrust upon them by portentous experts of the kind who now feel they have the right to reconstruct our crops. Even with skiing, there is the matter of cost-effectiveness to consider. Skiing, I am told, is exhilarating. Where is the exhilaration in GM soya? He is known worldwide for his demonstrations involving gruesome acts such as pushing large skewers through his own body. He inserts the skewers directly through deep muscle tissues, and astonishingly, feels no pain and also has a rapid rate of healing. These feats have made him a regular feature in documentaries and medical studies. He travels the world, delivering lectures and performing these feats for a large number of audiences. The intensity of the lectures escalates very soon. From discussing Sufi dervishes to modern medical pain control techniques, the audience does find the performances mind-boggling, but is also excited at the same time. Also, the opportunity to converse with an informative person adds to the appeal.
Instead of the button-pressing machine, Cole used a locked box and 2 differently colored matchboxes, one of which contained a key that would open the box. Notice that there are still 2 behavior segments. Open the right matchbox to get the key and use the key to open the box, so the task seems formally to be the same. But psychologically it is quite different. Now the subject is dealing not with a strange machine but with familiar meaningful objects, and it is clear to him what he is meant to do. It then turns out that the difficulty of integration is greatly reduced.
At the genetic level, there are similarities between the brains of humans and some animals. Most genes in humans and these animals are identical. Our closest relatives in the animal kingdom are gorillas, bonobos, and chimpanzees. More than 90% of SUTH shared with these creatures. It may surprise some to know that even mice share the same genes with us. That is why many scientists use them in studies and expert in an effort to find a cure for human diseases. While there are a lot of similarities, How the segments of DNA that mark certain proteins are arranged in humans and animals. The cerebral cortex is the outermost layer of the cerebrum. This has 4 lobes. They are the frontal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe, and temporal lobe. What is considered as the seat of thought in our brain is the cerebral cortex, which, in human brains, is quite enlarged. Sound and language are processed in the temporal lobe. The hippocampus and the amygdala play an active role in memory and emotion. The brain stem is connected to the spinal cord. It consists of the midbrain, the pons, and the medulla oblongata. The main function of the brainstem is to relay information from the body to the brain and vice versa. It also controls breathing, functioning of the heart, and consciousness.
It is predicted by world monsoons that within the next 50 to 100 years, the rainfall during the summer monsoon season is expected to increase. It is because greenhouse gases such as carbon dioxide allow the warm air to retain more water, which is then released as rain over areas that are already soaked. It is perceived that the land will get drier with evaporation increasing during warm temperatures. During the dry winter monsoon, according to studies conducted by the University of Colorado in Boulder, El Niño in the Pacific Oceans can also have effects on the monsoon in India. It was believed that the main influence on strong monsooning seasons was the strength of the El Niño warming. It has now been deduced that it is the location of the warming, and not the strength that is the deciding factor.
According to a 2004 NOAA study, 75% of the annual rainfall in India and 50% of the monsoon in North America arrives during the summer monsoon. The dry monsoon occurs between October and April. The winds during this time come from drier and warmer climates such as northwestern China and Mongolia into India. The land cools off faster than water, and a high pressure develops over land, blocking any ocean from preventing, explains Edward Gudavel's land. Blocking any ocean air from penetrating, explains Edward Ginn, astrology and meteorology professor at Villanova University. Consequently, a dry period follows.
Like, share, subscribe the channel, and press the bell icon for further updates.